Hei kai tono tono iau, ia tara haenga, I te ao ki te po. Tēnā koutou I ngā mahi, ia nei e tika ana, ki te tahuri, tuku tuara ki a koe, kia koutou, I te kōrero atu, ki te ene, tamariki moku. Kia ora, ka whakai. Ai tēnā koutou I ngā mokokoro. I whakapiti mai ki tō tātou nei waha. Hai te haina mai ki waka, I te waka. Hai. Tia te mai ka haki ki a koutou. I te kai kai o te waka. E mihi ki marika kia. Kia koutou katoa I haere mai. I haere mai ki te whawhai mo te mana o Hokianga. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. Katoa roho. Kia taha. Kai tūtahi. Toku mihi ki tō tātou kainanga. Nā te mea nānai I hō mai, ngā mea katoa. Ahako I whakapono I te ao o te Māori. Ahako I whakapono I te ao o te Pākehā. Ahako I whakapono I te ao o tau, o tauwi, ko tahi marika te atu.
First of all, my acknowledgement goes to our Creator. Ahapoa Māori, our Pākehā descent, there's only one Creator.
Nāna I hō mai, nāna hoki I taungu, nō reira kōria ki āia. Tuarua, I maumahara ki ngā tini mate, ki ngā tini mate o te wākai. Pakuru marika tōku ngākau, nā te mea I rongo, ko hinga tēnei, ko hinga tēnā, ko hunga tētahi atu. Nō reira koutou I ngā mate. Haere, haere tatiri ai kei tua te arai. A te wā, e haere ana mātou I mua I a koutou. Nō reira haere. Kia koutou ngā manuhiri, haere mai, whakatau mai ki tēnei wāhi tino a tāpua. Tō mā te kāinga, te wāpū o Hokianga, te whenua o ko Hokianga. Nau mai, piki mai, haere mai. Mauria mai o koutou maki. Mauria mai o koutou mana, kia piriha kia maki. Nō reira, whakatau mai, whakatau mai. Mihi marika ana ki te haukainga. Mihi marika ana ki ngā kai kōrero I kōrero tia I ngā rā I pahuri. Tōku mai, ki te hare mai ki konei, ki te āta hakarongo, ki te ako. Ahako he kui ai au iai nei. E ako tonu ana. E ako tonu ana mai I ngā kai kōrero. Ngā kai kōrero Pākehā, ngā kai kōrero Māori. Mihi marika ana ki te rōpū o te Māori o te wai. Kia miharoa ki a rātou mō tō rātou kaha ki te whawhai, mō tō rātou hiehie ki te pūpuri, te mana o Hokianga ki runga. Mena I ketea I roto I taua rōpū. He rōpū Pākehā, he rōpū Māori, he rōpū hapu mō tētahi marae, me tētahi atu marae, me wētahi atu marae. O ka mihi, miharo. Tōku tino hiahia. Tōku tino hiahia. Kia puare ngā taringa o te kaunihera ki te whakarongo. Ki te āta whakarongo. Hore kaunga taringa nei he mea I te taho tō mātinga. Nahe he mihini ki te whakarongo. Ne, kia ora.
So just reflecting on the kōrero, acknowledging our mate, and it breaks your heart to hear that many people have gone beyond the veil, and when our times cross path, wā ki te tūtaki that we may meet again. And also acknowledging the kōrero that has been shared in this forum, and that even though she is of a queer status, that she's still here to learn, and just acknowledging everyone's input into the kaupapa, in particular the group that spoke on Te Mauri o Te Wai, and the many cultures that was involved in that group, and the mana that they gave to their kaupapa.
Nā, ko hau he tauhau ki mua I ia kaurua, ia kouta. Na kua iau, no ko hau, ko pani hauraki, ko tihutai. Engari, I mua iau, ki tētahi o ngā tāne toa o Ngāti Kahara, I te taha o taua kōtiro rā, ne? No reira ka whiri. Engari, ko te toto ia, ko te ihutai. Mai tērā taha o te awa. Ia nei ka hia ki te kōhete. Ki te kōhete ki te haukaunihera. Nā te mena I rongo. Mena I rongo ki ngā kai kōrero ana. Ko rātou ngā māngai mo tō rātou ake hapū. Ne? Ko tēnei hui te huinga o ngā hapū. Mahi marike e mātou. Ne, Cyril?
I say, Whaia stated that she's here representing Kopani tōna ingoa, but Mary wedded into the hapu o Kahara, and just expressing that she's here to state her disappointment in the application that was put forward by the council.
Nai haere mai tētahi tangata mai I te kaunihera o te raki. Ki tō mātou nei mora, ki tō tātou nei mora o Pikitāria. I reira wetahi o ngā Pākehā, hore kau matatau I te reo Māori. Pai ki a rātou ki te, mo mātou ki te kōrero Pākehā I ngā wā katoa, pai ana tēnā, engari ko ngaro te kiko, ne? Ne? Ngaro te kiko o te kōrero mena ka kōrero Pākehā.
Māku tērā ki tō Pākehā? Ana, ka pai, so she's just reflecting on a hui that took place Ia I Pangaru?
No, Pikitāria. Tihutai.
Tihutai. Hui that took place there, and there was a representative from the Northland or Far North District Council, one of the councils that came to that hui. However, the representatives that came were Pākehā. And although it's easy to conversate in Te Reo Pākehā, Whaia states that she finds that the essence of the kōrero is lost in translation, and it would be much more effective if the message was delivered in Te Reo Māori.
Nā, ka pātaingia ki a rātou, tuhia he kōrero mō tō tātou nei tikanga, ne? Nā I reira tētahi tangata tino pairau atu ki te mahi, tēnei momo mahi. Pai ki te tuhi roa, ki te tuhi ngā mea tika. Ngā mea tika. Nā ka hui ai te utai ki roto I te wharehui. Ko ea I tū ki te papatuhi pēna ki te kaiako. E kōrero ana ki te iwi. E kōrero mārika ana. E āta whakarongo ana. E āta whakarongo ana. Kau e mautaringi te taha o te taringa o te mātinga nahe.
Ka pai, māku te rei o ka Pākehā. And at that meeting there was this guy that was present, and he was excellent in terms of collecting information, drawing information, but also documenting information. And he put together some sort of he puka, he rau me. But anyway, collecting information, he stood up on this whiteboard as if he was a teacher, drawing down all this information. And his main asset, or his main gift at the time, was the ability to be able to listen. And his ears were just attachment at the side of his head.
Nā I rongo ai ki ngā kai kōrero I kōrero ti I roto I tēnei hui. Kia āta whakarongo e ngā mema o te kaunihera. Āta whakarongo, ne? Ne. Nā ka taua tangata kaiako I tuhi ana mārungi te papa tuanuku. Āta whakarongo ki ngā kuia, āta whakarongo ana ki ngā rangatai, āta whakarongo ngā tangata tino matatau I ngā mea katoa. Āta whakarongo ana ko wai, nā Na haere ia, ka tuhi e ia, tēnei puka puka. Me suru.
She's just saying that the council, please listen to the many submitters that have presented here over the duration of this week. Listen to the kōrero, like the persons he spoke about who extracted information, almost quite like a teacher, that he had the ability to listen to everyone, from all generations, to kuia, to kaua, to rangatahi, and what she holds in her hand is actually the product of what took place at that time of, the person extracting that information.
Nā ko te ingo o taua tangata tohunga, ko Stephen Sanson.
So the name of that expert was Stephen Sanson.
Nā mihi marika au ki aia, mihi marika mātou ki aia. Nā I konei, te pai hoki o ngā kōrero I roto I te reo Pākehā. Ne?
And so Stephen Sanson put together that document, and you'll be blown away by the information and the wording that's in te reo Pākehā and in the English language.
Nā ka mihi au ki aia. Nā te mea, ahako I rongo I o etahi tama ki te reo Māori, I haere te taha o tētahi matatau I te reo, nā ki te kōrero ro te reo, mena pai ana tēnei I roto te reo Pākehā, nā ka tuhi ana.
Even though he wasn't fluent in te reo Māori, when he did come to situations where he wasn't too sure, familiar with the words, he would sit amongst people that were, and that could help guide him and correct him if he was in the wrong, or whether we are on the right path or not.
I whakaro ai mātou, ko tēnei tuhituhinga, tēnei puka, I hoatungia ki te kaunihera. Ne? Draft Cultural Impact Assessment.
And it was quite understanding of the people at the time that document there was presented or given to council.
Nā kau, haere tonu te wā, I kore mātou I rongo mai a Stephen. Nō reira, ko hau I tuhi e reta kia e tama. Kei hea tēnei puka. I tono e koe tēnei puka ki te kaunihera.
And as time went on, they shared and heard from Stephen, and so she reached out to Stephen and asked him, has this reached the right people, or has it got into it as who it was intended for?
Nā ka kōrero mai ia e whaepani, nā te me ka kohe te mariki au ki aia. Me I whakaro ai mātou, tino tika mātou, tino tika marika mātou, nā te me kia oti te puka pai, ki pai te reo Pākehā. Me, kōrero mai a Stephen, tuhia mai a Stephen, e whaia ka hoatu ki te kaunihera o te raki. Engari, ko rātou I hoatu tika ki te, ko te regional district, regional council, Northland Regional Council.
And so, in fire, trying to track down Stephen to ask whether the document had reached where it needed to, Stephen's response was that it was given, but then transferred directly to Northland Regional Council.
Ai, nā tōku tino awa wangawanga tamāua, tino āwangawanga, I whakaro, I mahia tika ai mātou, ki te tuku tēnei puka ki te wāhi tika, mō rātou ki te pānuitia, mō rātou ki te māramatia, mō rātou ki te āta whakarotia. Te wā, tino horo, hoatu ki tēnā, hoatu ki tēnā. Kei he te wāhi tika, I ki te koutou, tēnei puka, ne? Pai tēnā.
And so the fire's concern was that they had put a lot of effort into that documentation to make sure that it was right and that everything that discussions that took place were well documented in terms of formatting that document and making sure and wanting that document to be put in the right places. And hearing from the conversations that had been going to one place to another kind of put that more uncertainty around whether they had actually taken the time to look, observe and feel kōrero and the content that has been put into that document.
Tēnā koe. Nā, tai mai he tuhinga, mai I te kaunihira. Ne? I whiwhi e rātou, he tuhinga mai I te rūnanga o te raro. Ne?
And so, I was just saying that he tuhinga, a letter imera.
Oh, he tuhinga.
Oh, tuhinga. Okay, so some form of writing was sent through that the council had been in contact with te rūnanga o te rama.
Rarawa.
Oh, te rarawa, aroa mai. Taku turi. Wai no, pine kainga. Wai no, been in contact with te rūnanga o te rarawa.
Ai, marika. Kau e pai ki te titiro kia rātou, titiro kia kote. Nā, ko he tēnā. Tino he rau ati. Nā te mea ko mātou ko te ihutai. Te ihutai tētahi hapu o Ngāpuhi. E hara, te rarawa. I whawhai ai marika mo te wāroa. Mo tēnei āhuaranga ki te whakatika. Mohi ai mātou ko wai mātou. Engari, I haere mai ngā tauhau ki te kōrero o ko koe ko tēnā.
And so, in doing so, engaging with te rarawa, takahira on the mana of te hutai, and they fought for a long time to have their own identity and their own mana, and they thought it would be more appropriate if you could consult with the right people.
I taturi mo te wāroa, mo te kauni hera, ki te hara mai, ki te tohutohungia pē, kia mātou, nā, whakamāramatia ngā kōrero I roto I tēnei pukapuka. Engari kore taia. Kore taia. Ka waiho I raro I te āhuranga o te rūnanga o te raro.
And so, they waited for a long time for the council to come and consult and speak to topics that come out of their document, and that ever eventuated.
He mea tino tika tēnei. Me āta whakarongo ki tēnei kōrero. Kōrero tia ki te hunga tika. Whakarongo ki ngā tāngata tika.
And it's very important and paramount that when consulting or engaging that you speak to the right people.
Kia tēnā koe. Nā iai nei, e noho ana iau I tērā tā o te wahapu o Hokianga. Ko te ihutai, anake, te hapu o Ngāpuhi I tērā taha.
And so now she stays on the other side of the harbour, and she wants to state that te ihutai is the only hapu that holds authority over there.
Kia ora. O Ngāpuhi, mai a Ngāpuhi. Tika ana, ko te toinga mai I te raroa. E hara mātou. E hara mātou. Ko te iwi o te raroa, he iwi umarie, he iwi aroha. Engari, a mātou, I tū mātou, I rungo I tō mātou ake. E tō mātou ake, mana, ne.
And so, stating that te raro is there, but te ihutai, they hold their own mana.
Nā noho marika I au I reira, I kohukohu I runga I te pā o oriwa, I te taha o te wahapu o Hokianga, mo te wā tino roa mai I te reke. Ne? Nā anei māku I tuhi I panui tia tēnei kōrero, mena ka hohaki tēnei tuhinga ka kōrero. Pai ana tēnā?
So what she's going to do now, and she says that she grew up in Hokianga o Taua Pā?
Oriwa.
Oriwa. At the moment she's going to take time to read from the document, or he tūmana o te mana.
Nā, e kōrero tēnei mo te wahapu. Nā mai rāno, I kimi kai, I hi ika, I hi ngā karati, ngā tāmure, ngā kāwai, nā, ko ki te rereke ne, ko te rereke te karati ki te tāmore ki a take kiwi Māori. Ne? E hara he tāmore iti, no he karati.
Yeah, karati, ka wai. And so I was stating that from times long, long ago, they fished and they harvest from their harbour many different species of shellfish, and ika, kahawai, tāmuri snapper, karati. And she wants to make it clear that karati is not baby snapper. It has importance to the people of the area.
Kia ora. Ai, tino rongonui, nā te mea mena i aka titiro i ata rapu mō tētahi o ngā whakatauki o ngā puhi i ki tēnei kōrero. Ko ngā ika o Hokianga, ako he iti, he ū.
So what she's saying there, she's reciting one of the proverbs of the area. And she said, the fish of Hokianga, even though small, and I'm going to just kind of try and get to the ear of the kōrero here. He ū, is that sweet or delicate? How do you put the ū? You have your own interpretation of that kōrero.
Ina he tāne koe mōhio he āti. Oko na whi tēnā me. Hoki ki te kōrero tika. Nāhi mahi kupenga, i takotu whakatakotu te ngā kupenga, i kohitio, i mautuna, na pai te tuna, he maunu o te tāmuri.
And also talking around how they harvested kai from the area, they would set nets, fish for tuna, and they would use tuna as bait for snapper.
I rapu karahu, nā, ko tēnei kōrero, i rongo au ki tēnei kōtiro kōrero ana, ko te karahu he kai i ai nei, mō ngā kaumātio kuia nahi. No, tika tēnei ko, engari i te wā he kōtiro nohi iau. Te tene o ngā karahu haere mātu ki te kohi karahu mō ngā whanaunga katoa.
And so also reflecting on the kōrero that was shared around the karahu earlier on today, and that the karahu is a delicacy more so for our kuia and kaumātu of today. But the whāia is just reflecting that in her time that the karahu were plentiful and the abundance of karahu, that it was everyone could eat them. It was available to everyone.
Kia ora, ko tēnei he kōrero pono, he kōrero tika, i te marae o tau te ihihi, ne? Ka pā ngā karahu ki roto i te mea tino nui rawa atu. Hea, tika mo te pot. Nā ka pā ngā karahu ki roto i te pot. Pot. Te mea nui rawa, te pot. Nā, ki pai, pēnei te nui o ngā pot, ne? Ki pai i ngā karahu. Nā ko ngā tangata tino whai taha, ngā tāne, i mau mai taua pot, huri rauna i ngā tepu. Nā ko mātou, kia whai nira, ne? Kia whai nira, mātou katoa. Nā ka kime ngā karahu mai te pot, ka māringi no i mua i te tangata e hiakai ana.
And so just reflecting back on the karahu too, the whāia was stating e marae tau te ihi. That karahu were put into an enormous pot, and their job was to extract the flesh within the karahu and present it to those that were hungry.
No, e maringi ngā kia te kota. Te karahu kota. Karahu kota. Maringi ngā...
kota.
Nā siro. Nā i mau te ngira, ne? I mau te ngira, nā kia rapu te karahu ki roto, nā ka kai.
Okay.
Kia waiho te mea pau i te taha. Nā ka kai ngā te. Reka marika.
so she's just talking around the process of extracting the kai there. Kei te tika.
Ai, nā. Iai nei, tika ana ki te whakamārama ki a koutou. Ka hataku mahi i ngā rā i hahuri. Nā, tōku mahi tuatahi, ko te rupai ki te mire kakau. Ia ahiahi haere tika ki te miraka i ngā kau. Tōku pāpā he kaimahi pāpā. Ne? Pai au ki te eke hoiho, pai ki te haere, ia ho e hara iaia nei, ko kuia haere iaia nei. Engari i auara, he toa au, na ka haere marungi te hoiho ki te kohi ngā kau, ki te maumai ki te heki.
Kapai, she's just reflecting on her past experiences in terms of work and mahi, and saying in the past she was an expert at milking cows and an expert at eke hoiho riding horses to round up the herd or the stock.
Kia ora. Nā, tōku māma he wahine airihi i moe ki tōku pāpā he tāne Māori, ngā puhi tihutai.
And just stating that her mother come from Irish descent who married her father, who was a Māori from Tihutai.
Kāro tōku māma, nā ka tae ki te wā ka tīmata iau i tōku wahinetanga. Ki te tono iau ki tāmaki makaura. Tono atu.
And that as I grew up, her mother saw benefit in her being sent to tāmaki makaura tōtio.
Nā te mea, mena i nohe te kāinga, ia tohungia ngā tōku pāpā ki au na haere ki te mahi, haere ki te mahi, haere ki te mahi.
And that her mother could see that if she was to stay here and being directed by her father to go here, go there, go there, and yeah, kia ora.
Kia ora. Me mai rano, mai te wā he pepi nohi pēnā ki ngā tamariki o te kohanga reo. Ka hau ki te kōrero. Ka ha mārika au ki te patapata mai ngā pātai ki te kōrero. Nā tōku pāpa se, hare mai e pani, hare mai hei wō moku. Nā te me e kore au i moko mena ko koe i tōku taha. Nā ka tono atu tōku māma ki te kura tauhau, ki te kura o Auckland Girls Grammar School.
And Fires was saying that right from when she was a tamariki, like the tamariki that we're in the building today, she's always loved to express herself in kōrero. And then, ko tō pāpā tēnā, you said, hara mai ki taku taha? Tō pāpā tēnā, and that was always, asked that of her to join her pāpā or her father, because he stated that if you're by my side, I'll never be lonely. However, as we spoke about, as she stated before, that her mother thought it would be beneficial for her to go to Auckland, and she attended Auckland Girls Grammar.
I reira, i ako au ngā mea Pākehā. I ako au he hatu tika o te Pākehā. He mea pai.
And then she acknowledges that whilst being educated at Auckland Girls Grammar, that she learned Western ways, and she adapted some of the ways of the Pākehā. And she also acknowledges that there is benefits in some of those ways.
He reo, e ki ana ka te reo Hokianga, kia Hokianga tamika, ne? Ko rero reo, ana mātou ngā tamariki tētahi ki tētahi kia mau he kuku, Māori, ia kia tīnihia, pēnā ki te ingoa kohu. Nā ka tīnihia ki te kuku hau.
And she's acknowledging the dialect of Hokianga, and a perfect example of that is the ingoa kohu, and it's been adapted to the word hauku.
Nā tōku kaiako Māori i te kura o Auckland Girls, ko Hoani Waititi. He rongonui. Ne, tangata rongonui. Tōku patapata mai ki ahau. Ko wai koe e ko. Nā ka whakahoki au. Ko pani. Kia ora. No he koe e ko. No kauku.
And also stating that Wallace boss at Auckland Girls Grammar, she was fortunate enough to be taught by a well-known Māori academic by the name of Rawene Waititi, and he once asked her a question, who are you? And she replied, my name is Pani. And he goes, oh, kia ora Pani, where are you from? And she replied, I'm from Cape.
Nā ka kohe te tau e te tangata ki aha, ne? Kohe te marika, te kaumārua o ku tau I tau a wā. Nā, I te wā e pa e kohe te ana ea, nā ka tīmata te kōtiro ki te tangi. Nā ka hehea ki te hoki te kāinga, kei he tōku pāpā. Nā mai miri pēnāna.
And by replying in that way, kind of triggered her teacher, Rawene Waititi, to ground her in some way, shape or form, which built up emotions within her, as you would have heard, and I'm not going to bring all those emotions down. But she stated at the time with, the way that she was spoken to by the teacher and the emotions that they caused, instantly she wanted to return home to the comfort of her father.
Nā, ko oti I te kura o Auckland Girls Grammar ka. Ngā kaunui au ki taua kura. Haere au ki te kāreti, ki te ako me pēhea ki te whakaako tamariki. Ne? Ko oti tēnā, ko te tari o te mātauranga I tono ia, ka hehea ki te tono au, ki tētahi wāhi na ko waimana. Ne?
And following on from being educated at Auckland Girls Grammar, she later then went to Teachers Training College to be in the education realm. And I think what I was saying is that the Ministry of Education thought it would be best for her to go into a place called Te Waimana.
Mohi ai koutou kei he Waimana? Wainganui ngā tūhoi. Wē, matuku pai.
Waimana in the Bay of Plenty there, right amongst the mist, people of the mist, Tūhoi country.
Nā hoki mai ki te hakamarama kia daddy, kia dad. Dad. Ko rātou ngā pāhi, ngā rangatiro o tēnei āhuaranga, ka tono au ki Waimana. Nā ka whakokuia pero. No. Ka hore au I whakā. Nā, ka haere tika ia ki tāmaki makaura. Kōrero ki te tangata. Kei he te rangatira o tēnei wā. Māku I he ki te kōrero ki aia. E kore taku kōtiro e haere ana ki reira. E kore. Hoki mai a ia ki kohukohu. Hoki mai a ia ki te kāinga.
Ka pai, and so after receiving information that the ministry wanted her to go into Waimana, she told her father about the plans that had kind of come together, and her father didn't agree whatsoever. So he made his way down to Tāmaki Makaurau, knocked on the door and spoke to the boss of the ministry at the time and said, no, I don't agree for my daughter to go to Waimana. I want her to come home to Pukepuke.
Kia ora. Aha ko, he ture I aua rā, hore kau ngā students, ngā kaioko hau pēnā I au, I whakawhiti mai ki ngā kura iti, ne, hore kau e paina mō rātou, he ki te tono atu ki tētahi atu kura nuirawa. Engari kia tīnihia e rātou, nā te mea haere pero ki te tohu, ne, nā te mea āta whakarongo tauatari, āta whakarongo, kia āta whakarongo, nā I hoki mai au, ki Hokianga, ki kohukohu, hei kaiako.
And she was saying that at that time, new graduate teachers, they never got sent to small schools, they were always sent to bigger schools. But at the request of their father and the ability of the ministry at the time to listen, they granted the father's wish and brought her back home to Kohukohu.
Tino wai Māori e ia.
She was
Nā te
extremely
mea,
lucky.
wetahi o waku tamariki whakako iau I roto I tēnei horo o tēnei rā.
And some of the students that she taught at the time in this building today.
Nā, Nā te mea I hoki au ki te kāinga, nā ka haere ki te marae, ki te ata whakarongo ki ngā kaumātua koia e kōrero ana. E rapu ana rātou e hekere tari. Ne? Wetahi o ngā tūpuna o te ihutai, tino mātauranga. Mātauranga ki te kōrero Māori, mātauranga mo te reo Pākehā hoki. Nā ka kōrero ai tohunga ka kōrero, ka tohu ia kia. Nā, ko koe te hekere tari mo te marae.
Okay. And she was fortunate enough to sit in Hui when she came up, and Te Hutai had really rangatira o tohunga at the time, and probably still do, but they were had the ability to communicate equally as well in Te Reo Māori and Te Reo Pākehā. And at the time they were looking for a receptionist, and she said that she wasn't asked, she was told that you were going to be the receptionist or the hekere tari ko ao marae.
Kia ora, kia ora. Nā, I rongo au ki ngā kōrero mo te water treatment plant, ne? Nā, I au, kei te marae, te wā I haere mai wetahi mema o te kaunihira o Hokianga. I haere mai ki te marae o tau te ihi ki te kōrero mo tēnei wastewater treatment plant kei Rawene.
Kawa, and so at the time she was fortunate enough to be in amongst the kōrero for the wastewater treatment plant, and the council of Hokianga came to the marae to discuss that wastewater treatment plant.
E kore rātou I haere mai ki te ata whakarongo mai kia mātou. No, I mau mai aua Pākehā. He paunamu ki pai I te wai. I te wai, I kete iaia, e tutu ana I te wai me te whero, ne? I mauria mai he paunamu wai ki tā mātou wharehui, toki mata haurua. Nā ka hia ki te mau mai taua wai ki roto. Mai I tēnei wāhi piro.
And so when they came to their gathering, their intentions weren't to listen. And so they arrived at Tūteihihi, and they brought with them a bottle of water extracted from the wastewater plant.
Ai, ki mai au a tangata ki a mātou? O, ko tēnei he wai pai, tēnei he wai mā, tēnei he wai pai ki te inu.
And so they said at the time that bringing that water bottle in from the wastewater plant to the marae, told the people there at the time that this water is purified, it's clean, it's good for consumption.
Nei, whakaro ai rātou he mea pōrangi pōhehe mātou, kuare.
And at that time they tried to pull the wool over our lives because we didn't have the knowledge.
Ka kōrero au ki a rātou. Ko he te toku matua ki a, hera toku matua tika, toku matua keke. Ko tari atu taua paunamu ki waho. Mena ka hia wetahi ki te inuhia, a koutou inuhia. Engari kore.
And she was instructed by one of her elders or her uncle at the time to take their bottle outside, and if anyone wanted to drink it, well, drink it, there it goes.
Tēnā ki ngā kōrero I aia nei, ne? Pērā. Nā, I te kōtiro Dallas e tutu ana I te wai me te mea whero I riringi hia I roto. Ko kino. Ko kino.
And it's much similar to the conversations that are being had here at this present time, and that the water is not good, it's of poor quality, and also demonstrated in Dallas's submission this morning.
Kia ora. Nā, hei, marika.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just really conscious of time. Mr. Chapman, I know you want to talk as well. I don't want to cut anybody off, and it's certainly not you five, and no disrespect. I want to hear what you've got to say, but I just want to make everybody aware of the room that we've set the schedule. and anybody could have asked to speak, and we've really through other people, but the consequences of allowing people to call witnesses and other people to speak is that some people just ask for 15 or 30 minutes and they'll take an hour and a half. This isn't directed to you, Fife. But we have 10 more people to hear today, and I understand at least 3 of those are hoping to catch a ferry across the harbour. So I just wanted to, I don't want to shut you down, but I'm conscious that the chaplain wants to talk to, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I want to listen to everybody, but I want to make sure everyone's got space to be heard. So, kia ora, I do not want to constrain anybody, but I just wanted to make everyone conscious that I'm conscious on this side that there are 10 other people to be heard today as well, including Mr. Chairman.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Naka tihi au ki aina ki te reo pāpara. Ne? Kia ora mai. Kia ora I rongo au ki aho. I rongo. Now the wastewater system continues to operate. Ne? Oh, pura. We have said that we believe in aroha. And if your aroha is not tika, if it is not pono, then it's bullshit. Pai te reo Māori, ne, hore kau au a kupu pēnā nei ro te reo Māori. Now, this recent, or the last consent, was given and concluded in 2016. Now, I know how to count. We know how to count. Ne? Nako pakaru, ai marika. The laws of the council have been broken. By whom? By Mātou? By us? By whom? Are we not doing our job? We have the responsibility, because we are he uri, to look after our harbour. We have the right to look after our harbour. Me pēhea mātou I mai pēnā. How do we do that? The consent has not been given. Engari, haere tonu te kino. Oh, goodness, sorry. And I reflect back to the Mahurehure, where they were locked up just because of a few dogs, ne? Ne? I huri ngā whakaro ki ngā kuri o Waima. Our tūpuna were locked up. Now, mena e haere ana marunga te tika, if we're going to be just and tika and correct and share aroha, then we must be that. We must. Now, our rangatiratanga, our unique identity is prized and treasured by us. We have the responsibility to contribute our suggestions, and we have the right to be heard. It has been a hell of a process to be a partner to date. Mena ka mahitahi ai tātou I ngā wā katoa. Mena ka mahitahi ai tātou. Kia rere te aroha. Kia rere. Ne? Noho iau I nanahi. Nā ka titiro ki te kōtiro mō te tōna whaunu e tutu ana I tango pikitia, ne? Ne? Nā ka kohete tana kaumātua ki aia. Ka kohete te tino rangatira ki aia. Nā I kete ia, te ahuaranga o taua kōtiro, tau e pākea te tine. Nā te me, pēnei ana, nā? Pēnei ana. Nā ka kohete a one taimana ki aia. Nā, ka huna no te kōtiro. I te wā I tui e kōrero ana ko ngā puhi au, I kete te mano te kōtiro. Engari ka hore I roa, I kete te mamai, te wēpūtanga, I runga I taua kōtiro. Ka titiro au, ka hihi au, te haere ki te awhi tau kōtiro. Nō reira, mena I tohu nia I kourua, ngā tohunga. Mahia te tika e te hapu, e ngā hapu, mahia. Hoa tu te pepa tika, mō wetahi tangata I haere mai ki roto I tēnei whara, hainatia. Hainatia. Ka whakai ai ki te tongo pikitia. Mena kore whakai, aua, I kete ngā ingoa I kona. Mamāteo I mai. E ara kōte, mamāteo. Nā aroha mo tau e kōtiro. Mena I kore au I kōrero mo iaia, mōna, nā kotoku, tino ki. Aroha mōna. Nō reira kia tūpato, nā kau e koe, aha koko, nana kia aha koko. Aroha pai. Ko tēnei he ai.
Ka whakawake e a kōrero mo te kare, me ka pai?
I kōrero Māori a I taua wā.
Aye. And the fire was saying, just reflecting on the incident that took place yesterday around the kōtiro and their phone, and that when the kōtiro stood up and spoke of Ngāpuri, that you could see her mana. They came out and Whaia Pani felt pauri or sad for her, wanted to give her aroha and saying that in terms of the process around recording and that maybe there's another solution and where we can sign papers in order for that to take place. But saying that she felt that she needed to state that in order for her to feel right and give tautoko to their kōtiro.
Nā ka uri anō ki te reo Pākehā. Now, our culture today has evolved to include current technology. And I am really disappointed that the organisation did not take the time to procure the earmuffs that translate mai I te reo Pākehā I te reo Māori, mō rātou kuare I te reo Māori. Here we go again. From English to Māori, from Māori to English. Sorry about that, folks. Because the most beautiful kōrero I've heard at this hui, all hui, is the first speaker from the taumata. That's been lost. That's been lost on the majority. For us, kia maupai te reo, tino wai Māori, we're so lucky. But I'm sorry for you, Whaia, because we have this technology, and if it had been made available, then you would have been able to listen to the beautiful kōrero given by Rereata. He is a world authority. He bamboozles the scientists because of his amazing knowledge. And he spoke so clearly, so beautifully. And we have that technology, so why aren't we using it? We use it. We use it in the schools, ne? We use it in the schools, we use it so that the tamariki can understand it as technology, things are to be used. No time by keeping them in the cupboard. Nā te reo Māori, ko hau he kai ako te reo Māori hoki, nā I te timatatanga I haere au ki te kohanga reo, kia whiwhitiwhi te mō he kai ako mo te kohanga reo. Ka haere au ki te mahi te kura Pākehā, I taught in an English school. Whakako ki ngā tamariki wetahi poia te Māori ngā mea o ngā haka ngā mea pērā. I went on to teach in a secondary school. I went on to teach Māori in a secondary school. And I'm a writer. Koreko paina kia Janine, not as good as Janine. But I tuhia iau ngā puka puka mo ngā reke, mo ngā kōrero o Hokianga. I wrote the books for the little people, like those little ones in the pohanga reo. I wrote them about our harbour. I didn't write about the piroha. Now, for our council, Te Reo Māori is the legal language of New Zealand, and it must be treated with the respect and the aroha that it deserves. I rongo, for those who are submitting, you go and ask Moko. You go and ask Moko for this equipment. Moko's your mea. Moko's our tamaiti. You go and ask our new Māori ward speakers to help you. At this time, my last thing I want to acknowledge is our kai kōrero from our wards. Me e kore I haere mai ai marika. They didn't come here to grovel. They came here to share confidently, and they shared well. I would like at this time to also compliment and commend our Tautoko Radio, because it has given us, I wasn't here on Tuesday, I had to take my time in Kaitaia Hospital, but I could hear the kōrero from here in Kaitaia. Now he mea pai tēnā. He mea pai tēnā. Now, here's my last kōrero. Fine. Hapu do have the intellect and the empathy to relate in a valuable and useful manner. Kia mau ki tō tātou rangatira.
Tēnā tātou, me miharo ki kia tātou e te whānau. Me taupau te koro taku whānei, e whakapū ki kōrero e pāna ki e. Kia tātou anu ngau te whakatuko rātou. We were raised in the Hokianga Harbour. I go back to some administrative matters. And the hearing assumes that there is a subordinate and or the primary. I hereby assert that we, in our collective capacity, whānau, hapu, rangatira, are the primary First Nations people of these extensive hapu territories, wherein which this forum is taking place. We are mana whenua, we are mana moana. However, the notion of submitting to this, your process, has absolutely no regard to our cultural processes of resolution. Just a reminder, tika and pono guides us in our deliberations. Any take that we are faced with is open for discussion by anyone who wants to contribute to determine the best resolution for the issues before us. And this is an example of the lack of that practice within the world we're living in now. This take is an important take. It could take weeks for our people to discuss, to upturn every rock, to have every discussion and be heard by every person, that at the end we make a collective decision that will be understood and supported by everyone. A very different process to the process that we were raised in. When there was a problem, we had hui, we sat down, we talked about it, we thrashed it out, sometimes for very long hours. At the end, it was resolved, and when we left that whare, that was left there. We struggle with this process. I've heard our kaumātua, and I know that they want to be part of a forum where they could feel they were included. They had the mana that they deserve, because this is an important take for us. The concerns for well-being of us all is paramount. It includes not just the well-being of people, it essentially upholds the fact that the well-being of our environment is a prerequisite to optimising all conditions of our well-being, particularly that of our tamariki, our children who are here today. Our tupuna expressed their concerns about the impact of the immigration of others onto our territories and the imposition of the alien colonial laws on us and on our territories. Our whenua has been cut up and is still being cut to create land lots for lease and for sale for the settlement of other people. Along with the growth comes an array of issues such as water disposal or disposal of waste. And in the early 1900s, Hokianga returned from his trip from England expressed his disgust at the state of the River Thames polluted by raw sewage and other waste. He could see that if those people came over here, the same would happen. History has proven the reality of his concerns. With the establishment of kōku back in the 1830s, 1850s, the practice of putting raw sewage into the waterways began. Our tūpuna, he was our rangatira, Toki Pāngari. He had the job to go to those homes, to pick that tūtai up and then dump it into the water. Imagine how he would have felt. Our rangatira with mana was degraded by the practices that didn't belong to us. I'm from a family of the Hokianga. I want to be brief. For the whole life, I'm almost 70. 4 years of my life has been the only time I've left this place. I've been here for 65 years. We were raised 18 brothers and sisters. We lived on the water. We survived on the water. We took our spiritual sustenance from the water. We watched our grandmas and our grandpas live a life to sustain the mana that they maintained. They would come down at Christmas and they'd cut some wee to make a bed. They'd camp under the tree and we would fish for a month. We lived and survived on that. I'm also a descendant of the colonizer. My dad's people came from England in 1835. And we were a result of that. My nan would wash him and say, "Son, have you been playing with those natives again?" And she would wash him. So I'm a descendant of that. So we stand here today committed to our responsibility. The responsibility that has been handed down from generation to generation. The rivers that flow from the Mirihapu we belong to, the rivers all go into the Hokianga harbour. They are the veins that come into our beautiful harbour. So whatever happens here in Tautiihi, it affects the wairua of us, the wairua of our ancestors, the wairua of our whenua. So how can we disconnect? I stood there when you came to visit. We stood there because we belonged to you there. We stood there because we were there with the tangi from our tūpuna who told us you must stand. It wasn't to takahia your mana. It was to ensure that we maintain our responsibility. Our responsibility that will be handed over to our new generation. It has been a tough life. We've been through many trials and tribulations for many years with Janine and other people. We fought of forestry companies, big companies coming to our harbour to try and take over our beautiful harbour. We can no longer swim in the harbour. We can no longer get food from the harbour. What would it be like if someone came to your fish farm and said, "I'm going to put some tūtai in there"? How would it feel for you? How would that feel for you? Hoiana. I know we've got a short time, and we thought it's important to look at remedies. The affirmation that our Hapu Collective will lead this take. Nothing further will be decided until this collective establish a process acceptable and driven by us. We no longer can trust the local bodies. They have been responsible for the kaitanga of the water for many years. Every river in the north is polluted. why would we continue to allow them to take on that role? The process must be resourced. Northern Regional Council, New Zealand Government need to compensate for the breaches. Dumping other towns' waste into our harbour, illegally operating without consent, breaches of Te Tiriti or Waitangi. That compensation can be used to support us into no longer continuing to allow the waste into our beautiful harbour, to help maintain the current system, then remove it and establish a suitable land-based system. In front of the Tautihi Marae is a wahi tapu. That is, where they put that pond is our sacred whenua. It must be removed. Hoi anō. I could go on for days. We've had many, many years of very adverse things that have happened to us. And I look to our new generation. I'm inspired by the new generation who have come this week to tell you about us, the people of Hokianga. I have confidence that they will continue to lead our people into a world that will not only be better for us, but better for those who come amongst us. We have a responsibility of manaakitanga. And in order that we fulfill that responsibility, we must make sure that we take care of our moana, that we can accord them with the beautiful kai of the mudflats, the karuhu. It's the most beautiful shellfish in the world, the karuhu. Ai, hoi rā. Ai, thanks you for your time. And Karen, thank you. We've had and
Sharon.
Sharon. I must bring this up, Sharon. That our discussion the other day, which has enabled us to reach many parts of the world through our little station, which we established 33 years ago, by having a tent and a nan's bought some cakes, and that's how we established ourselves. And today, we're proud to be able to share the whakaaro to the rest of our world. Lots of our people live in Australia, and that's the only way in which they can connect home. So mihi kia koe, Sharon, me koe noki e te rangatira, me kau te noki, mai te kauri o te raki. We're looking forward to engagement that is driven by us and supported by you. The time has come. The time has come. Nō reira, hui mō tō tātou whare, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātuka.
Go across the river. Do you want them to go first?
It's okay. I'm aware that you've been here all day and you were supposed to be here this morning.
Well, I don't have to go across the river.
That's okay.
So if they're nice and brief, sure, they go first.
I haven't seen many Hokianga people that have been nice and brief.
Here's the start of it.
Judith, let's let you go. You're ready to go. Let's hear from you. And I understand the theories are going to work around these people, but so we'll get to them next.
We'll ask them to be nice and brief.
And we'll sit down for a cup of tea.
I wanted to be very brief, and I wanted to tautoko so many people who have come before me speaking, but I realised that was going to happen, and so I have provided you all with an abridged curriculum vitae so you can understand where I'm coming from and my expertise. So we'll take that as read and save time. I think a lot of people in Hokianga know who I am anyway, so I don't have to tell them. Right. I'm going to raise some topics that have come up again and again. I know you've heard these, but I want to tautoko the people who've made these points. There's the issue of the Far North District Council's mismanagement. It refused to consider electrocoagulation for a Mako or Benoni. The investigations were defective, the monitoring rare. It isn't that they cannot do zero human waste, but that they will not. Solution, dissolving it, is neither uneconomic. The solution we need is neither uneconomic nor unfeasible. No evidence was brought forward by the council, the Far North District Council, to support the claim that it was either uneconomic or unfeasible. The various acts which should govern their choices, they know they can safely ignore. Example, Benoni or Mapri plant. The plant can't meet the consent conditions set for it. So what did they do? They changed the conditions by a factor of 10. The same applies to how they meet the requirement for culturally acceptable practice. Oh, we know it's repugnant, but so what? This is insulting, and we have heard just now how insulting that is. Rawene, for instance, is subject to major stormwater incursion in the sewerage. Admitted, the Far North District can't say that about Hokianga or Mapri. And why not? Because they probably don't know. And what this indicates is that in the practice of the Far North District Council, they contract out for advice. The answers that they get are tailored to please the council so that the contractors will keep on getting the council's business. Now, this couldn't happen if professionalism generally were not in decline across the board, but it is. I've been a consultant myself, so I can have to acknowledge that this is a moral hazard in consultancy. About Hokianga, Mapri, and Kohukohu, the Far North District Council and the community are head-to-head rather than side-to-side. We've heard this again and again and again. Working together works, not working together doesn't work. It's put council's employees in a very sorry position. And it may be one factor which has led to extraordinary staff turnover. Te Maori Te Wai, in 14 years, rarely had the same contact person from council for a whole year. Melissa is a wonderful exception. Okay, so the council staffing and performance applies not just to wastewater, but to many areas of council's activities. Now, numerous submitters have suggested that the applicant has failed to consider electrocoagulation in any realistic way. Many have cited their experience and complained that they have tremendous reservations about the taking of Kaimoana. We've heard that again and again. As a practitioner of what we call Western science, I know that Matai Matarangi and Western science actually use the same methods. They are especially observation, and they use the same criteria for ascertaining the truth. Does it work? Is it repeatable? Can we make sense of the results? Is there peer review? And the answer is yes, at least in Matarami Māori, and for the most part in Western science, although there's been decay. In Te Ao Māori, everything is interconnected, and just as it is actually in Te Ao Pākehā. So, human waste, while it mustn't go into the water, is nevertheless a resource when properly exploited. The offence of septage, say, from Kohukohu's council-owned tanks, going into Rawene's ponds is deeply felt. It appears that septage from all over the far north is ending up there, perhaps because septic trucks have an incentive payment. They get $5 a kilometre for getting from the source to the dumping site. So the further the dumping site is from the source, the more money they get. This appears, this is what's called this appears to be an aspect of the tendency of the Far North District to favour the better off district areas of the district at the expense of the most needy. I have done preliminary studies of the economics of septage disposal, which indicates, I have not proven it, this is a draft study and a beginning, but it indicates that enabling communities to operate small local worm farms for septage dumping sites provides an economically profitable, small-scale enterprise. Left to itself, I suspect the FNDC would operate a centralised facility, if any, at greater expense, and probably constructed so another large, non-local firm, profit-making, could extract profit from the most disadvantaged community in the district. Ask me about it. Mr. Blakey suggested that the NRC is too inactive. Other submitters have explained the lengths that the communities had to go to get this consent application even notified. You've seen the extent and the depth of concern. There is energy here, as Cyril has just pointed out, for kaitiakitanga. I question whether either honouring Te Tiriti or good faith bargaining is likely unless both the Northland Regional Council and the Far North District Council both recognise that business as usual is not going to happen. And I wonder, does that mean that the community needs to discover a viable threat? I'm sure that there are some. Most submitters have expressed the feeling that the focus on trying to reduce the concentration of toxins is unsatisfactory. Our marine ecologist pointed out how it is the amount of the toxic substance that leads to its effects, not its concentration. And Dallas has given you a beautiful illustration of that this afternoon. Or this morning, I guess it was. It was this morning. Okay. I am not persuaded by the applicant's proposed amelioration. As many submitters have said, climate extremes are already here and will surely increase. A far more radical solution is required, like electrocoagulation, but also we have to recognise the reticulation of water and sewerage may themselves become outmoded as the resilient survivors take back responsibility. Thank you. I would hope that this is time for you to ask questions, because I've been quick.
Very clear. We don't have any questions. I think we get some very similar messages on the side of the table. I don't have any questions, but thank you for providing a very interesting CV and a very colourful career and long career.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
What's it tautoko? Tu te ra mai ngā iwi, tātou tātou e. Tu te ra mai ngā iwi, tātou tātou e. Whai a te maramatanga, me te aroha e ngā iwi, kia ko tahi tahi, kia ko tahi a. Tātou, tātou e, tātou, tātou, huri kia tia mopes, ia wei.
And I just repeat again, our last questions on this side, it's just really that your submissions and your statements are so clear that you don't have any questions. Kia ora. So Mr. Mules, you're going to leave? Thank you. It's just for the kitchen, we will stop for our afternoon tea break, us and two gentlemen that are catching the ferry. So 2 more speakers, perhaps to the kitchen. I've got no idea how long it could be. It could be loud.
Ngā kai whakawā a tēnā korua, ka nui te hari ki mihi atu kia korua e rungi i tēnā kaupapa. E ngā mana i ngā reo. Ka rangatira mana ngā whānau o Hokianga, a tēnā i mihi kia koutou katoa. My name is David Mules, and I'm here today as the Deputy Chairperson of Hokianga Health Enterprise Trust to speak to this hearing in the hope that the health and well-being of the people of Hokianga will be given prime consideration by the hearing committee in relation to these 2 applications. I'm an elected trustee representing the community served by the Panguru Health Clinic, and my past experience includes training and employment as a civil engineer specialising in water resources, as a teacher and principal in rural area schools, and in environmental and conservation management. The health facilities and services in Hokianga, including our 10 community-based clinics and the hospital here in Rawene, are specifically designed and configured to optimise the health and well-being outcomes for our people, and are provided free of charge to all Hokianga residents. This unique health service is owned by the people of Hokianga through the Hokianga Health Enterprise Trust and operates as Hauora Hokianga. This year, our Hokianga communities will be celebrating 30 years of being served by our own independent health trust. Now, a bit about us. 3/4 of our almost 8,000 registered patients identify as Māori, with the ratio dropping to around 50% for those over 65 and rising to 85% for the under 25s in our community. Central to the effectiveness of our services in Hokianga is our recognition that a person's overall health and well-being is dependent on the holistic interconnectedness of te taha tinana, that's physical health, te taha hinengaro, mental health, te taha whānui, our collective health, and te taha wairua, spiritual health. While this whare tapa whā model derives from a Māori cultural worldview, there would be very few Pākehā people and people from other cultures who would dispute the ultimate truth contained within this concept. At a fundamental level, the deliberate discharge by FNDC of human waste into a waterway which is also a pātaka kai for the gathering of fish and shellfish, as we've heard, a place of recreation and spiritual replenishment, and a place of huge cultural significance, is deeply offensive, and it's contrary to Te Reti o Waitangi. Quite apart from any physical risks of disease from pathogens, the threats arising from such discharges to the spiritual, mental and collective well-being of our people are real and significant in our judgment. They cannot be dismissed, and nor can they be effectively mitigated. They are pervasive and durable, and they have the potential to threaten the quality of the health and well-being outcomes for our people. This holistic nature of health and well-being is not adequately addressed in these applications, and it's really an indication of the very narrow perspective brought by FNDC to this fundamentally important consideration. As we all know, and we've heard very eloquently expressed, Hokianga is a special place in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and in the world. Not only is it the tūranga waiwai of many whānau and hapu who are affiliated to our 40 or so marae, whether the quarter who live here or the thousands of whanaunga living elsewhere to whom this is a matapuna, the source of cultural and spiritual identity to which they can always return, but also to the many other families who have made their homes here in Hokianga over the years. The waters of Hokianga are also the central attraction for our many manuhiri, our visitors with whom we share our manaakitanga and who help us economically to sustain our lives here. The principle of using the waters of Hokianga to dispose of our human sewage is anathema to Te Māori o Te Wai, and is irreconcilable with these deeper aspects of our lives. It is imperative that a land-based disposal option is seriously investigated, designed and implemented now, regardless of the technical and financial obstacles which may have to be negotiated. The FNDC exists to serve or to service the needs of our communities, and our Mayor and Council are elected by us and supported by the rates that we pay. In this respect, we consider that the nature of these two applications raises some serious concerns regarding the negligence being demonstrated by our Council in relation to the health and well-being of our people. Let's take a closer look at these. Both of these existing wastewater disposal plants with discharges into the water of Hokianga were constructed last century as the populations of these communities grew and the shortcomings of their historic septic tank disposal systems became more evident. In those days, the level of political influence and awareness of Māori cultural values at local council level were generally very limited. and only a shadow of the better informed world we live in today, with our more equitable diversity in community leadership roles. Within our communities, this growing awareness has also been significantly influenced by improved understandings of the treaty and its implications for both local and central government, and the maturing of a sense of fairness and social justice for all within our community and national life. However, as we all know, this is still very much a work in progress. Successive monitoring, research and reporting is helping to inform us of the serious levels of contamination of many of our waterways as a consequence of human activity. The latest and most concerning of these reports was released only a couple of months ago, and it's clear that we cannot just keep on doing what we have been doing in this regard, and a serious reset is needed. This has direct relevance for these two applications, with the shift to land-based disposal clearly being a pressing imperative for us all. Since the National Policy Statement for Freshwater Management applies to the waters of Hokianga as a receiving environment affected by freshwater, these waters will soon become the subject of a mandatory NRC freshwater plan. In the interim, as a community health advocate, we are informing the NRC Hearing Committee here and now that our community's vision is for there to be no wastewater discharge into the waters of Hokianga. It is clear that the primary consideration for the Council, both when these two wastewater schemes were originally constructed and again when these current applications are being prepared, has been financial. The social, cultural and environmental values and priorities for our people have received insufficient consideration in this process. Given the specialist role of Hauora Hokianga, it might have been expected that the FNDC or their expert witnesses would seek discussion with us about these wider community health and wellbeing implications when these applications were being prepared. But there has been no such approach. We are confident that the Hearing Committee will be well aware of the obligations of the FNDC in this regard and will act accordingly. But in our judgment, the FNDC is deficient in this centrally important regard. The ability of councils with small population bases and communities of limited means to provide adequate and affordable infrastructure is a perennial issue, and this has certainly been the case for us here in the far north. Over the past year or two, central government has been signalling proposals for reforming the way in which drinking water, stormwater and wastewater are to be managed throughout the country, with infrastructure costs to be largely transferred to central